Good afternoon, everyone. We have a few still filing in. If you'd like to find a seat. My name is Mary Wood, and I'm a Public Information Officer with California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. We're glad that you all could be here this afternoon, and we welcome everybody that is joining us online as well. For the participants here in the room, of course, the exit is the door that you came in. We do have some water and Gatorade for after the meeting and some handouts for you to pick up. We've got some maps and some updates and some information from a couple of our other agencies. We do have some portable toilet facilities across the street, and I don't think we have any cell service down here, but if you have a cell phone that has service on it, if you could silence your cell phones or perhaps turn your radios to silent, that would be very helpful. Good. I can see why you all love this community and choose to live here. On the way down here, I was just blown away by how beautiful it was. I live in a very similar area in the south, but not nearly as high and beautiful as what this is here. Appreciate the Forks of Salmon Community Club, Bona, for hosting us today. I know that y'all have hosted a lot of meetings similar to this in the last years. I was reading a little bit from the ledger earlier, and it sounds like you've had a lot of fun events here, and this is kind of the heart and the hub of the community. Thanks again for hosting us today. We're here to provide some information on the Orleans complex, specifically the Butler and Big Cliff fires since Team 4 took command on July 24th. We're streaming live on the Klamath National Forest Facebook page, the Six Rivers National Forest Facebook page, and Team 4's YouTube channel. And to ensure a safe return of all of our fire personnel back to complex and to the field, we'll be holding this to an hour. We will have a time for questions and answers at the end. And then some of our speakers, if we don't answer all of your questions, some of us will remain behind to be able to ensure that all of your questions are answered. So just a quick little update on the status of the fires. The Red Fire was 100% contained at 116 acres. The Butler Fire stands at 86% contained at 21,058 acres. The Big Cliff Fire is now 316 acres, 0% contained. That's as of this morning. I'm sure we've made some progress today. We have 1,368 dedicated personnel to the complex. For opening comments, I'd like to invite Chris Christopherson, Forest Supervisor for the Klamath National Forest, up.
Good afternoon. I just want to start with a thank you to the community members for continuing to support the team and all the participating agencies to get us to where we are today. And so this has been a tough number of weeks, smoky, hot, impacts to the community. But again, thank you for continuing to show up, to share information. So on behalf of the Klamath National Forest and the Six Rivers National Forest, thank you for all that you've done to help us.
I'd like to invite Carrie Williamson, Operations Update. She's our Operations Section T for Team 4.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hopefully this thing's working, correct? Okay. I'm a little under the weather, so I can't hear and I can barely speak at this point. So I just want to talk about some of the actions. There's been a pretty tremendous amount of actions and efforts with all of our fire personnel on the Butler. So as far as everything along Salmon River Road, all resources continue to patrol, monitor, watch for any potential rollout coming all the way down Salmon River Road, all the way out to Quail Flat, going up to Hog, back down to Sawyer's Bar, and then coming back out to the Forks down to Cecilville Road. So everything off to the east, kind of the northeast portion of the incident, continues to be a patrol monitor effort. All fire lines are within containment. Most of the hose has been pulled from that portion of the incident. Once we get down to Know Nothing Creek, we've got a lot of resources spread out from Know Nothing, going all the way out to Lunch Creek today, continuing the patrol mop-up efforts. We do have hose in place, basically from where it says H54 on the map, going all the way out towards Lunch Creek, as well as we've got hose down into Lunch Creek, as well as Nordenheimer. All resources continue to make sure that nothing's going to cross the lines and or have issues. This portion of the incident looks really good. A lot of significant effort. Many of the locals, I'm sure, are aware this is a pretty steep piece of ground. Once it goes up to the 05 Alpha out towards Nordenheimer, we continue to have a pretty decent amount of resources out there ensuring that that won't cross our existing lines. Everything else on the incident looks really good. We've got limited resources on this portion. Everything is really in a suppression repair state for that portion, with the exception of the stuff in Lunch Creek. Everything out into Division Tango, or what is X-ray, Orleans Mountain, Hamel Creek area, limited movement, limited fire activity in my tenure here, so just over 14 days. So limited fire activity. They are in suppression repair states of that as well. And the red fire that's on the Six Rivers, that is also in a suppression repair state. The one fire that there's probably a little bit more interest in, so the Big Cliff Fire. So the Big Cliff Fire started with lightning a few nights ago. We've got a significant amount of resources out there, not in the most accessible portion of ground. So I'm going to kind of speak through this, hopefully. We'll see how this goes. So the 43 road, we've got access to the 43 road. We've got dozer line going from the 43 up to the fire's edge. We've got direct line all along the fire's edge, kind of from the northwest portion of the incident, going up towards, I'm not sure what this main ridge system is called, so if somebody could tell me what that is, I'd love it. But it's just off the John Meadows Creek. So pretty steep ridge system. We've got hotshot crews spread all along the top of the ridge system going direct, all along the fire's edge. We've seen limited activity and limited growth up on that north portion, or excuse me, the south portion of that incident. As we progress out to Blake's Fork, so we currently have several hotshot crews out in Blake's Fork. Those hotshot crews are going direct on the spot fires that are furthest out to the east, in utilization of rotor wing aircraft for bucket drops on the spot fires out in Blake's Fork. The portion of the South Russian Creek Trail, currently opening up the South Russian Creek Trail system as well as the creek. We're plumbing a hose lay all the way up that creek system. For those that are familiar with this portion of the incident, it's in the 2014 fire scar, pretty heavy, dead and down, a lot of snags, not the safest place to put our fire personnel. So we've got direct action all along the top, trying to make access out to the southeast flank, looking for options for direct, trying to figure out how we can get into that snag patch on the South Russian Creek Trail, also opening up that trail system. Otherwise, end a report for the incident.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. For our incident meteorology report, Woody Unruh.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Woody Unruh, and I'm an incident meteorologist trainee on the Orleans complex. Real briefly, an IMET, or incident meteorologist, is a National Weather Service employee that travels across to various wildfires across the country. For instance, I work in the Duluth, Minnesota office, but receive training to forecast the weather essentially across the country. A lot of this has been firing in the higher terrain down towards the Trinity Alps, up towards the Russian Mountains, and then moving east over towards Scott Valley, so not necessarily moving directly over the fire area itself. Now, fortunately, we did receive a little bit of precipitation, primarily over the Big Cliff Fire area yesterday, as we had some of those thunderstorms develop a little bit further to the west. Primarily just south of Idlewild, it was kind of here off of Division Juliet, where we had that bullseye of precipitation yesterday. So. Can you start over? Okay. Yep, for sure. All right, are we good to go? Cool. All right, sounds good. So for the folks online, kind of starting back with the past few days, we did have some pretty near daily thunderstorm chances, as been in this pattern of lots of moisture coming up into the area. And a lot of those storms have been firing on the higher terrain from the Trinity Alps towards the Russian Mountains and then moving east towards the Scott Valley area. Now, fortunately, we did receive some precipitation yesterday as those storms did develop a little bit further to the west. And with that, that was radar estimated roughly up to 1/4 inch of rainfall, so 0.25 inches of rain, falling over just south of the Idlewild camp area, just near Division Juliet. So did receive some moisture over the fire, and that led to better relative humidity recovery this morning, is what we saw. And so today we're kind of in one more day of this near daily thunderstorm chances, monitoring for some isolated thunderstorm development, primarily over towards the Big Cliff Fire, as we head further west towards the Butler Fire. With that, really not seeing too much in terms of thunderstorm activity. As we're seeing out here today, it's just a few clouds in the area and not really expecting any precipitation in this neck of the woods. So looking ahead to tomorrow, we now turn attention to the weather matrix. On this weather matrix gives just a quick snapshot at conditions over the next 6 days. And really the big story for tomorrow is a change in pattern. So we are looking at a cold front coming through the area. And with that cold front, that's going to be bringing a shift in winds. We've been having this really persistent westerly wind for the past, really since I've gotten here. This is day 11 for me, and I've been seeing it, every single day, seeing some of that terrain modification, especially here in Forks of Salmon, as well as up on the Big Cliff Fire, seeing some of those northwesterly winds due to the terrain up in that neck of the woods. But anyways, for tomorrow, we're looking at more west-northwesterly, so kind of shifting more towards the northwest. With that, that is going to bring an increase in wind speeds. So we're looking at wind gusts in the afternoon, 20 to 25 miles an hour. That continues into Monday with slightly cooler temps than what we have been seeing for the past few days. And then as we head into Tuesday, we do start to begin a warming trend again. So by the time we get to late next week, we are going to be looking at high temperatures in the valleys returning to the mid-90s to upper 90s. And there are some indications potentially next week for temperatures in the valleys returning to around 100 degrees heading into next weekend. But winds generally remain out of the west to northwest, and again, kind of gusting around that 20 to 25 miles an hour. And then when you see precipitation chances there, again, kind of a change in pattern where we've been from these near daily thunderstorm chances going out. Basically, little to no additional precipitation is expected once we get to Monday. With that, end of report.
Great. Thank you, Woody. And now for fire behavior, DeAndre Wiley, fire behavior analyst.
Good afternoon. As was mentioned, my name is DeAndre Wiley. I'm the fire behavior analyst for Team 4. And what my responsibility is to gather intel to inform the firefighters and staff that are going out on the line what to expect in their areas of where they're working for the day. So I use information from the IMET and different fuel models and different models on my computer to help me interpret what the environment's going to be like for that day. Since we've been here, we've had either what I would call high-risk days or moderate risk days. And what those are is we look at the flammability of the fuels, the RH, relative humidity, the temperatures, and the stability of the atmosphere that we're working in. A high-risk day for us would be any time there's thunderstorms that could add multiple ignitions. One of the indices we do use is called the probability of ignition. And it's been really high for us, some days up to 100. And what that means is if I took, let's say it is 80 or 90 today, if I took 90 matches and dropped 90 matches in 90 different fuel beds, I'd get 90 fires. So that tells you that the fuel is very receptive for flame, starting from our surface fuel. Our brush is getting there, is not quite dried out, so we have a long season ahead of us. But some of the trees are there right now. So with that, I'll just do a quick overview of the map. Over in branch 5, 10, and 15, on the Butler Fire, what we're noticing now is a lot of interior creeping and smoldering. Crews have done a fantastic job with their fire suppression efforts. There's one little teeny tiny small piece in Division Romeo in that Lunch Creek area. That's very difficult to get, has been troublesome, but as the days go by, the potential will dwindle as we use aircraft and firefighters make their way to that direction. So interior creeping and smoldering on the Butler Fire. And as we move over to the Big Cliff Fire, as was mentioned on this west side near the John Willow Creek, excuse me for that. It's a really steep drainage there. Crews are making pretty good progress. There's a little bit of open line on this southern piece. So the potential for rollout and spotting is there. And when I say rollout, is there's a lot of down and dead in that area from a previous fire scar. And when there's fire there, stuff tends to loosen up. So logs, sticks can roll down and ignite the fuel below the firefighters and run up there. So that's a particularly dangerous situation. As we go to the north end, they've made pretty good headway on the north. Still a potential there for spotting. And let me back up a little bit. So my job is to look at potential and probabilities. That's part of my job. And as we come around on the north side to the east side, that's backing really, really nicely there. And I know firefighters are going to be making some pretty good hay in that area. So there again, the potential is rollout and then some upslope movement. And as we go further to the southeast, this spot out here is in a really good position because of the fuel model there. At the top of the rim there in Blake's Fork, it's kind of rocked out on the top. And I was told that in the very bottom of the drainage is still wet there. So I think with the rain, it really reduced our burn periods. We were looking at burn periods between 10 to 12 hours with that rain. And the high humidity we got the previous day, it's going to shrink that down to maybe 6 to 5 hours. So firefighters will be able to get a really good foothold on what they're trying to do over in that area on the Big Creek fire. With that, end of report.
Okay, thank you, DeAndre. Next for your air quality update, Tom Pierce, Air Resource Advisor for the Orleans Complex.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Tom Pierce, Air Resource Advisor, and what an Air Resource Advisor does is provide information on current and future air quality and smoke. And our audience is not only the team, but also the community leaders, public health departments, and most importantly, the public. So what I'd like to do is quickly go through the past, the present, and the future as it pertains to air quality here, especially here at Forks of Salmon. So let's look back from last Friday to this Friday, what happened with smoke concentrations over the course of the week. You can see going back to the last Friday, we had unhealthy conditions measured both at Cecilville and here at Forks of the Salmon. But on a daily basis, this pattern gradually went down as we moved from Friday to Wednesday to Friday again. So here yesterday, moderate concentrations were observed. That's not so bad from a health standpoint, and good concentrations were observed in Cecilville. So how do things look this morning? Next slide, please. This is a map that is available nationally. It's called the Fire and Smoke Map. It's available on the internet if you have access to that. This is a box that we as Air Resource Advisors create when we're called to an incident to provide forecasting in the local area. So you can see here, of course, is the Butler Fire, and here's our new Stark, the Big Cliff Fire. As of 10 a.m. this morning before I left to come here, all in all, we are seeing good air quality concentrations around the area. This is Etna, this is Orleans, and this is Coffee Creek. The two yellow spots are Sawyer's Bar and Cecilville as of 10 a.m. And fortunately, for the first time in seemingly weeks, Forks of Salmon was experiencing good air quality. So I mentioned to you that this is a box. We use this box to provide outlooks or forecast. And next we'll go to the forecast that was issued at 6 a.m. this morning. So again, this forecast is available. It was sent out by the PIO, and it's also available on the internet. And it shows for 6 strategic locations around the area a general idea of what we think the air quality is going to be like. So the forecast this morning, we felt like on a daily basis, and that's what really matters from a public health standpoint, that Sawyer's Bar, Forks of Salmon, and Cecilville, essentially this whole Salmon River drainage system, would see smoke in the morning more or less overnight, and it would average in the moderate category. That's not so bad from a health standpoint. Meanwhile, around the fire, it was green or good air quality. So we've seen a great improvement in air quality over the week. Next slide. So you all are a very fire and smoke aware community, and I don't want to insult your intelligence, but there are resources out there that folks can go to if they return back to their homes and they really don't know what to do to help to protect themselves from indoor air pollution. A lot of people, you probably know to open up your windows and your doors and air out your houses when you come back to get rid of that smoke and any gases that may have accumulated over the course of the fire. Another culprit that many don't realize is there's ash, and that ash can be injurious to you if you're breathing it. It can aggravate asthma and other things. And there are resources available to help you mitigate that pollution that's in your homes. So there's a fact sheet. I have about 20 of these available, and also there's an internet site. I'll have those up the front if you're interested in that when you leave today. Also, feel free to come and talk to me if you want to speak more about outdoor air pollution and indoor air pollution. In the report.
Thank you, Tom. And now for an evacuation update, Sheriff LaRue, Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Is this thing on? We're good? Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm actually going to go through probably a quite lengthy, I'll try to keep it short, but it is a presentation to kind of give you an update on what we do, what we did, and why I guess you could say maybe why the Sheriff's Office responds the way it does nowadays. Many of you obviously have been through many fires. I have no doubt about that. I've worked for the Sheriff's Office now for 20 years. You have a lot of knowledge, and you've been through a lot. And so have we on the law enforcement and responder end of things. And I kind of want to take you through things so we can maybe have a common understanding of why we do what we do, and hopefully help with some of the questions you might have. So go ahead. So these are the Sheriff's Office roles and responsibilities, which number one is to protect human life, and that includes not only the residents, but firefighters, going to be any type of emergency responders, and those that are visiting our community. So I have to think about everybody that could be possibly within this area at any given time, and consider them as my number one priority to protect them. Number two is to secure and patrol the affected area. So when there's an evacuation order of any kind, we have a duty to secure it, to make sure that people do not rush in and that they do not loot. And then we patrol that area to make sure that people are safe, either staying out or that if you are in, which we'll get to, that we can be there to rescue you even if you did not evacuate. And the other part is to repopulate when the time is right. And repopulation means you come back in when the time is right. So those are really our three main objectives. Next slide. So wildfire has changed a lot, and we're going to go through that because I think it's very critical for you. Not every fire looks as these do. Some of them are from our neighboring counties, and some of them are from local. Next slide. But things I want you to be aware of is that of the 20 deadliest fires in California history, 11 have occurred in the last 20 years. And 5 of those have happened since 2020 alone. So a recap on that is since 2003, 11 of the 20 deadliest fires, and then since 2020, 5 of the 20. And 4 of the 10 deadliest U.S. fires have occurred since 2017. Things have changed in the recent times. Next slide. So these are our recent Siskiyou County fires that we've had fatalities in, and I'm going to preach this as much as I can because I want you to be aware of them. So Slater Fire in September of 2020, many of you are familiar with these. 2 fatalities, one was inside a home and one was outside a home. McKinney Fire in July of 2022, 4 fatalities, 2 inside a car trying to evacuate, and then 2 inside homes as well. Mill Fire, September of 2022, not that long after the McKinney, 2 fatalities, and those were both outside the home. The Head Fire was in August of 2023, and 1 fatality, and that was outside the home. So in 5 years, we've had 9 fatalities from wildfire in Siskiyou County. I've mentioned this before. In the 15 years preceding my career, I don't recall very many, if any. And so this is alarming to me as well as other professionals as well. We want to keep you guys safe. Next slide. So these are some of the considerations as things have changed, and here's a couple of highlights. These are articles that came in different times. California said they didn't receive emergency wildlife alerts, and many residents did not receive emergency alerts during the campfire. Will you be warned if a disaster is heading your way? So we've come from this place, and we've worked to better the response and the alerts in California because of the fatalities we've had. We'll talk about Paradise. 85 people were lost in that fire. Next slide. So born out of that was this new evacuation orders and warnings. It's a system that's fairly easy. Hopefully there's 2 colors. One says get out right now. The other says be prepared to evacuate. We wanted to make it easy, and this is pretty much California-wide and in other states. And it's just to give you as much opportunity and much notice so that we don't have the moments where we're chasing, trying to get ahead of the fire if it decides to move rapidly. Go ahead, next slide. This is what it is, our Know Our Zone. Our county is now divided into a variety of different zones, and then they will populate either yellow or red depending on the threat. And that is made with the help and collaboration of many people, but mainly all the fire personnel, law enforcement, and we sit around tables, we have meetings to discuss what's the potential and what's the threat and what is it going to look like in the future, because there's many considerations, not just the wall of flames if there is or the active fire. Next slide. So some more pictures. These are from different articles. Emergency alert systems lagged when residents needed them most during LA wildfires. And in Hawaii, the tragedy there, no evidence Hawaii officials prepared for deadly wildfire despite warnings, report finds. I don't want that to be us. I don't want this to be you, where you did not hear about something and you did not know that there was a threat coming your direction. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, so it's very unique here for many different ways. It's obviously beautiful, but roadways, this is a huge consideration for us when we think about evacuation orders. There's not many options you have, and the ones that you do are very narrow. And that's problematic. You may be fine with driving them, but if anything happens out of the ordinary, it can cause an absolute catastrophe. Go ahead, next slide. So this is a fire progression map, and you even have one right here on the wall. It just sort of shows where the fire went from the first day as it moved north to south. It's actually got a lot of information. It shows how many acres were burned each day. And so when we're watching the fire, we have to start making these predictive models come out, and we have to think about the future. What is this going to look like, and how is it going to impact people? And we have to err on the side of caution always, because if we're wrong, it could be your life that we lose. And you never know with a wildfire, right? You'll hear fire speak about it all the time. Things can change so rapidly, so we can only go off of the information we have in the moment. I know you've been through fire. I will say that in my recent time, I don't recall the fire getting this close to the community. I know you've had it. Well, I know it comes close, but I have never seen it this close to the actual structures. I'm just sharing my personal. It's okay, guys. Okay, next slide. So personnel and safety, we had 1,988 personnel assigned to the fire and 242 pieces of fire equipment. Hundreds of vehicles on the road. That's fire engines, hand crew buggies, mastication equipment, trailers, dozers, other support vehicles, county roads, and law enforcement. And we basically have those three roads that meet together within the community to drive all this equipment on. And you know this, obviously. It's very dangerous here. Go ahead, next slide. So this is it on a good day. And our road crews were out every day, I think multiple times a day, getting rid of rocks and trying to get debris out of there. In one instance, they actually called me. They were getting hit with rocks on their trucks, and they had to quit. And so that was a safety concern. We understand that. And then the other part is we actually had fire crews that didn't want to go through there. It was actually too dangerous for them to even go through those roads. Now, next slide. So here's the reality with this. It only takes one tree, it only takes one rock, and it only takes one accident on this roadway system for there to be a catastrophic event. And that really breaks my heart, because I don't want to see people trapped. I don't want to see you burned over like we've seen in other fires. And I applaud you for where you live and that you have the knowledge you do and the experience, but I don't want you to take advantage of that to a point where this is something you encounter and you can't get out. So that's why we have to look at all these things when we take into consideration. Next slide. So things that we look at: ongoing roadway hazards, falling trees and debris, limited visibility, active fire behavior near roadways, emergency access for the crews, And then firefighters and other equipment on the roadway. And again, very narrow, but this is sort of what we're looking at every day. Some questions kind of came up as to why did it take so long, or what was going on the roadways. And these are the things that we're always looking at before we can send the public into those roadway systems. Go ahead, next slide. So when we opened the roadway, it was very systematic. It was based on our real-time data and information, and it was a top-to-bottom approach. As you probably noticed with it, I mean, essentially where the fire was the coolest, you could say, where it originally started, we kind of worked our way through the road system, and they prioritized fire personnel to those locations. Go ahead. So these are some pictures just of the work that was being done. Some of these trees fell down on their own and were pushed to the side, and others they were having to cut down due to the threat that they would fall down at any moment. Go ahead. These are crews working actively in the roadway, and these are another consideration for the safety of the firefighters. Go ahead. This, if you can see, this steep terrain, you have firefighters working in here to ensure that things aren't going to roll down the hill and strike somebody. So these are all considerations in some of the most difficult terrain that I'm aware of. Go ahead. And again, very narrow roadways. We have vehicles that are in the roadway as well as firefighters that are trying to cut up these trees. So these are the active scenes that we're seeing out in the field, and the reason why roadways are obviously very critical for fire personnel, but also to ensure that we don't have a bottleneck scenario where there's a dangerous next slide. The firefighter working there, get a tree off the hill onto the roadway to be cut up and then hauled off. Go ahead. And this is the thing that terrifies me, and I know that there's frustration. Certainly, you have every right to feel however you feel. This stuff scares me, and actually, it makes me so incredibly sad that we lose lives for this reason. This literally says a man still holding a garden hose and a woman who stayed with her pets. Details emerge about the LA fire victims. I just want to convey and implore you guys to understand the difficult position that I'm in as a sheriff's office and how serious this is. I know you have fire experience. I also have fire experience. My fire experience is a very dark fire experience. I responded to the campfire. I have been to our own fires within the community where my job was to pull out victims from the ashes, essentially. I went with an anthropologist during Paradise at the campfire to go through debris to look for bones. I'm very aware of the threat, and it's different than it used to be. And I want you to understand that as difficult as these evacuation orders and warnings are, they're coming from a place that I do not want you to perish in the fire. And even if it saves one person, I will do the same thing because we can't afford to lose people. I'm here for that one person if it's only one person. But this is becoming more of a reality, and it terrifies me. And I want you to be just mindful of the approaches that we have because of where we've been, and just know I'm a partner with you. It's nothing personal. I don't want to interfere with you. I'm not trying to interject things that you don't want. Just recognize the big picture approach. I have to look and make sure that everyone's safe in the community, whether it's a tourist, whether it's a firefighter, whether it's you, and I just don't want to see people perish. So I hope you recognize that. There's always opportunities to grow and learn for all of us, but I do need your partnership in this because, again, I got a call one Friday night with this fire, and it was literally that there's flames everywhere. We have to get these people out of here. And I responded myself with our deputies, because and the whole time I was driving down here, I was thinking to myself, I hope nobody is actually going to die. That's from my heart. Nothing is worth your life. And I, again, do not want to see anyone perish. If I have anything that I can do to stop that, I will do it, because you are worth that to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, a few thoughts from Karuk Tribal Representative Greg Moon.
Whew. That was pretty heavy. I just wanted to get up. This is my second season with Karuk Fire, and I've been designated as the tribal representative on the Orleans complex. What I did was embed in with the forest and the team and try to work with them to make sure that our folks out in the field were getting out there and protecting our cultural resources all along the ridges, working with operations closely, coordinating, communicating. And I got to say that this is probably one of the best team efforts in that area, where before it's been very difficult to try to get embedded with them, to have them share information. And but the forest, both forests, Six Rivers and the Klamath, have really honestly reached out to the tribe and invited them into their decision making, their communications with the sheriffs and the team. And I just wanted to thank them for that, because I've been around teams, my 37th fire season, and I've seen a lot of fakery, right? You know, oh yeah, we'll let you in here, but just don't go over here, type of thing. And this has been a real shift. Rocky's team coming in, Team 4 coming in, and with that same spirit of communication and coordination has been wonderful. The reason why I bring that up is because I was in the offices and in the trailers and in the meetings when Karuna's courageous words coming over the Zoom calls, and Will and Bonna out there liaisoning for the community. I think it was very commendable, the strength that you provided to speak up for the community. And at the same time, it was very pleasing to see that the ICs, the forest supervisors, the sheriffs, the team folks, they were all reacting to those in real time, like it was a real concern, and they were honestly reacting. And I wouldn't come up here and say that if it wasn't true, but I think we made a major leap in our communication and coordination this season.
Thank you, Greg. I'd like to invite one of our agency administrators, Natalie Kelly, District Ranger for the Salmon Scott River Ranger District, Klamath National Forest.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, yeah, just take a moment. Okay, it's catching up. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow. Natalie Kelly, just wanted to thank you all for being here. I know we talked about a lot about the fire itself, but one of the things that I'm not sure folks are fully aware of is the district really started doing fuels treatments right around Godfrey Ranch. I think it was a week in when we started doing that. Coroner's shaking her head, yes. And working with the Salmon River Restoration Council and other partners and communities like yourselves to treat these areas. So I know you have a lot of questions and I don't want to take a lot of time, but what this just reminds me of is instilling the fact that these communities are on my top priority list, and to continue to work and treat the communities as such. I know access can be difficult. We're pretty far out here. Watersheds are very important. All of that really matters. So it's just my investment and our district's investment to really continue to push forward within Bear Country Project and other future projects. And I just look forward to the engagement because you all are worth it. This land is worth it. And I'm here to listen to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And in closing, California Interagency Incident Management Team 4 Incident Commander Rocky Obliger.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First of all, I do thank you and commend you for the community to take the time and be here. That means a lot, to be here, to listen to your concerns, listen to what we faced and what they faced prior to our team coming in, and not be afraid to ask those difficult questions. I also commend the folks that can't be here, that get on virtually, and we have that opportunity to take some of their questions and be able to answer those. You know, I've been doing this a long, long time, and I was talking to a gentleman back there, and he goes, "Man, you look familiar." "Yeah, I was here in 2008. "Well, no, yeah, I was here in 2016. "Yeah, I was here in 87. "Yeah, I was here in 75. The country that you live in is absolutely gorgeous, but it is some of the most challenging country anywhere in the western United States to fight fire. I'm telling you that. And we take it serious. You hear ops when they do the plan here. We listen to the firefighters on the ground. That difficult fire over here, the cliff fire, for those hotshot crews to go into that difficult country, and it's steep, and we put the right crews in the right places for the right reasons. They're the ones that are telling ops whether it's doable or not, and do we have to back off, and they're the ones that are saying it's doable. We got rain on the fire yesterday, but guess what? That thing burnt active all night and actually helped us to connect some of the spots as it was active, and I saw the videos of it burning down. It actually put our hotshots certainly working the side of the fire to come up with a strategy, and it put us in a pretty good position that, you know, we're going to probably get that thing unless we get some unusual weather. So first of all, I thank you for understanding the challenges. So we talk about what happens on a fire. You've got incredibly steep terrain. You've got probably one of the largest areas other than Monterey and the Los Padres National Forest for poison oak that, well, I don't know how many we've dealt with. I mean, it's hybrid. I used to get it so bad, and I finally moved to the Los Padres, and I was in it so much I built immunity, and I'm kind of lucky I don't get it anymore. But the secondary effects, I take my clothes home. My wife's a firefighter, she gets it. My daughter's a firefighter, she gets it from touching my clothes. So I'm sympathetic to those firefighters, and it's pretty staggering how much. And then we think about the secondary effects. When you've got an environment, when you have a landscape that has a really bad severity of fire on that steep slopes. So you start seeing the rolling rocks, you start seeing the weakened trees, you start seeing the snags. We got a young firefighter, and I used to supervise that crew years ago, that hotshot crew where we had the 3 individuals that were hit. They weren't cutting any trees. They were working direct fire line when a drone came out of nowhere and hit them. And we have one young firefighter, while 2 are able to get home to their families and they're doing well. We have fun that we're not even sure at this point if he'll ever walk again. And he's in Colorado with his family. And so we're hoping for the best. At least the initial response is he doesn't have spinal injury, but it's going to be a hell of a long recovery for that. The sheriff talked about, and you did an amazing job talking about fatalities. There is nothing more gut-wrenching, certainly being an incident commander, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, or an ops chief when you have civilian and firefighter emergency responder fatalities. You know, Paradise got hit hard on the Camp Fire. A few years later on the North Fire, today I think it's the single longest sustained run of a fire. It jumped the Feather River at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. We started evacuation in Lake Oroville. People decided not to evacuate. The fire went 216,000 acres and 27 miles in 7 hours and resulted in 18 civilian fatalities who decided not to leave. Talking to the CHP officers that we were unified with, the sheriffs that we were unified, they were literally throwing civilians in vehicles and fire apparatus to try to get them out. The same thing happened to us on the Dixie Fire when unexpected weather, actually they predicted the weather, and it's bad timing when you're the team that comes in and the next day you've got a red flag, and we had 50 to 60 mile an hour winds and severe downdrafts, made a significant run into Greenville, and we lost 80% of the community. And we got lucky, we didn't have a single civilian fatality. I'm from Hawaii, I knew a lot of those people in Lahaina. In fact, my brother's house was fairly close to that. We came close to losing that, and fortunately didn't. And those folks didn't have a whole lot of warning. So when we take it serious with the sheriff, because the sheriff has the most difficult decision to do, to say we're going to evacuate or we're going to initiate an evacuation order or a warning. And that's based on what we're telling them, what we believe the fire is going to do. But they have that decision to make it, and we support them 200%. And I told someone about a staggering statistic. I was in Australia fighting fires in 2010. I was brought there to take a look. How did we lose 187 civilian fatalities in a single day on September 7th of 2009? And 2 things happened there. Folks did not want to evacuate, and they had poor warning, and there was no collaboration or cooperation between the two major agencies. And that's been incredibly resolved. They get fires, you talk about fire behavior, they get eucalyptus, and that's the tree that dies and keeps coming back because it's tubular. They have the longest spotting distance recorded in wildland fire of 26.2 miles of a single spot fire. And so you think about that, and you think about those people, and being there, you know, for a couple months, and everybody I knew had a brother, a father, a sister, a mother that they lost. And then I see what we do, and then again, being the incident commander where we lose firefighters, it's just gut-wrenching. So I commend them, because what we want to do is we don't want to inconvenience any of you. And I know it took a little longer to take a look at when we could actually lift orders. And if you see, the progress was from the north, because that's where we had the most success in getting our containment. And we got into some real difficult terrain that they're still fighting on the south end. And you saw that we did everything. They really do everything to finally be able to lift an order, to reduce orders to warnings to normal, and finally open some of the road systems. And it was systematically just because of the progress and where they felt it was safe. And we apologize for the inconvenience. I mean, from the heart, there's nothing worse than know you're being evacuated. I've been on fires where my home's being evacuated at home, and I'm on another fire evacuating people. So that's difficult. So, and the tremendous support you have from the forest, both the Six Rivers and Klamath, yeah, they're not strangers to fire behavior and fires in this country. They have a difficult decision when they ordered a team, and then that difficult decision when we need another team, and how do those teams work, and how do they share information, and how do you do it seamlessly, and going to the next step to try to reach our ultimate goal, that was get everybody back home and reach our containment objectives. And then the tribal. Gray's kind of not telling the whole story. He actually used to be on this team, so I'm dating myself because he was in logistics. So I'm not going to say how many years ago that was, so it was quite a while. But to work and the relationships you all have in that. And you're savvy to fire. You've been here, you're going to see it. It's that difficult situation in jeopardizing emergency responders, because fire behavior is unpredictable at times. We think we know everything. It is truly a science. And I'll give you with one last little statistic. The North Fire, when it went 216,000 acres, at the height of it was burning an acre a second. That's about a football field a second. And think about it when we're trying to do evacuation. We had a fire in Washington where the sheriff was getting brutalized for evacuation. He was literally knocking on the door, and he said the fire just blew by him. He said, you know, and that's the kind of stuff. The main thing, I think, to remember is that nobody got hurt, and we didn't lose any of our civilians on this fire. And to me, that's a win. I don't care the inconvenience and the time. That is a hell of a win. And we've had minimal impacts or injuries to firefighters to this date. So, you know, certainly on behalf of our team, we're here to support you. We're going to be here to the end to get closure on this thing. And I'm fortunate to have an amazing staff, because they just make me look good. But it's the folks that work under me that do the job. And then finally, the firefighters on the ground, because I've been there. My son's been there. My daughter's been there. My wife's been there. We know what they do, and they have the difficult job, and they're the ones that really deserve the praise when we finally get our containment objectives and get to go home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rocky. We have time for one question until we conclude the until we conclude the recorded portion of this meeting, but we will some of us will hang out afterwards to be able to address. We'll break up into some smaller groups. And make sure that we answer your questions. So, one question? Yes, thank you.
Hey, folks. I understand. We're gonna stay around. Just stick with me for a second, okay? I understand. We're gonna take some questions. We're gonna be around. We have lightning still coming in, and we have this other fire. So folks are still going to be around here, but we still have active fire. And definitely want to honor those questions. And, you know, I appreciate your time and effort in this, and we will be here to answer all your questions. We just have this cadence that we're trying to work through, and I know you understand that, so appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. So I'm going to hand the mic off to Meacham, and we'll take a question until we'll try to go ahead and cut this right at 3 o'clock. We'll cut the recorded portion, and then we'll hang out. So if somebody has a question, all right?
I'm not sure what question to ask, honestly, because one of my questions is about communication, and the fact that, you know, you're wrapping this up with one question is maybe tied really closely to that. But I think I'm actually going to first respond to the sheriff and the presentation about evacuation orders, because that obviously made a lot of people really upset this year in the community. I just want to say that I appreciate your not wanting to see people die. None of us want to see people die either. And I actually felt like this year the triggering of evacuation orders and warnings was pretty spot on. Like, I think that you triggered the order here in Forks of Salmon at the right time. It was when fire jumped across the river and started taking off. I think the reality is, it's like orders go on too long. That's most people's complaint. And I think especially in a community where you know that almost everyone has stayed, you're not keeping people from coming back in. What you're doing is you're keeping people from then, once the fire danger has kind of reduced, from kind of resuming somewhat normal lives. And everyone understands that you can't ever resume a completely normal life during the middle of a fire. But people do have jobs. People do need to make a living. And when we all stay, it's really hard to have our movements restricted. And the one other comment I wanted to say was, you mentioned that fires aren't what they used to be. And I think that's also true, but I think it's important to acknowledge that on the Salmon River in particular, maybe as much as anywhere in Klamath National Forest, one thing that's not what it used to be is that we've had lots and lots of fires. Not every fire is going to be the McKinney fire or the Slater fire. We have overlapping recent fire footprints. We have a landscape where it's a lot harder for a fire to make a big extended run, because there's stops where it can't keep running anymore. And that's also not, like, that's not what it used to be, in a different way, from like the climate changing and, you know, fire suppression. There's not many places that have the ability to stop fires from so many previous fire footprints. And I think it's important to look at that as well when you think about like how you make your decisions, and fire not being what it used to be. Is in this landscape in particular, we have an opportunity to show what fire could be in the future, which is like, once fires burn enough and frequently enough, we don't have to be as scared. And, you know, so that's just a thought.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, we'll go ahead and conclude the recorded portion of this meeting. And when we get the thumbs up, we'll continue the conversation.